Hey everyone, it's Jonathan. Merry Christmas! Today, Katie and I are talking about a brand new Christmas movie, Merry Little Batman. This movie is basically like a fusion of Home Alone and Calvin and Hobbes mixed with Lego Batman, but in the wackiest art style possible. Before I watched this, I actually thought it was just some kind of a short Christmas special. It turns out it's not. It's a full on movie, and I am so glad. I love this thing so much, and only getting 30 minutes of it would definitely not have been enough. Now, since this is a new movie and I usually don't podcast about things that have just come out, I want to warn you up front that we are talking about it from beginning to end, talking about all our favorite jokes and scenes, so if you haven't watched it yet, please do so and then come back. This is literally one of the funniest movies I've seen all year, and I want you to go in as blind as I did. Okay, if you've watched it, let's go talk about Merry Little Batman with Katie Fabrick. When I first heard about this, I don't know why, but I thought this was just going to be like a 30, 40-minute holiday special. I was not
hmm
expecting it to be a full movie. This ended up being one of my absolute favorite movies of the entire year.
Oh my gosh, it was so fun.
I love this so much. I was not expecting that. Like, I figured it would be cute. I know I saw a lot of people complaining about the art style, and I mean, it's not what I would normally expect from Batman because, like, I grew up with Batman the animated series, so I guess I probably do prefer like a more realistic style. So I can see why people would have been turned off by the animation style in this. But once it started, I did not care. I loved this.
I mean, if you're turned off by the animation style, my polite way of telling you to, or help with that, is to give it a chance.
Yeah, really. Yes.
I'll
That
say it politely.
yeah, no, like this is not serious Batman. This is
No,
ridiculous Batman.
that's my favorite Batman. Like, I
It
like the
might be mine.
original. Yeah, I like the original Batman series a lot, but like I think the ones I always find myself going back to are like the more lighthearted, goofy Batman. Like Lego Batman's my favorite Batman movie of all time.
Oh, yeah.
And so like I always jokingly say like they've made one good Batman movie. That probably might get me a lot of hate, but um like I enjoy Batman when I'm in the right mood, but
hmm
Lego Batman is my favorite. I can watch that like probably if I could just have that running in the background almost all day. Like
It's hilarious.
yeah.
Yes.
And this one has become one of my top favorite Batman movies. I loved it so much. It was quite fun.
Yeah. I think there is room for all different types of Batman. There's Batman for
hmm
everyone.
I mean, with how much Batman media they make, I'd be
Yeah.
surprised if there wasn't a Batman for you.
And I
Um,
think they're working on a dark, gritty Batman animated series anyway. So just
yeah.
this isn't for you. Wait for that one.
Yep.
I mean, I'll probably watch both because I mean, I like superhero animation no
hmm
matter what. There's so much out there that I need to catch up on, like all the direct to video stuff that Warner Brothers has been releasing the past decade. I'm so far behind on.
Yeah. No, for sure. I think as I've experienced a lot of the DC, I think my favorites has always been the more lighthearted stuff, but that's just I think personally me, I like lighthearted stories better. Um like
I
recently,
usually do too, I think.
yeah. Like recently, DC made a show called My Adventures with Superman.
I
And
need
I'm
to catch
and
up
like
on
if
that too.
you love I'm gonna just gonna say if you, I think if you love Superman, like Christopher Reeve's Superman, and just that
hmm
very nice, lighthearted himbo Superman, like this is perfect. It's so good. I really enjoyed it. I can't wait for the second season.
I really need to watch that because everyone who has told me about it says that I will love it. Superman has always been my favorite superhero. Like, because like I said, I grew up with Batman the animated series, but that was also
Mm-hmm.
with Superman the animated series. Like when
Yes.
I watched it, it was both. Like it was like the Batman Superman adventures. It would like rotate. Like one day would be Batman, the next day would be Superman.
Mm-hmm.
Once in a while, they'd be in the same episode. And of that, the Superman episodes, were by far my favorite. I always wanted Superman. Like I've grown to really love the Batman episodes as well, but Superman was always my favorite of that series.
Yeah.
And Superman ever since has been my favorite superhero, which is probably very vanilla of me, but I don't care.
Oh, you're honestly, I feel like at this point, like Batman being your super favorite superhero would actually be the more vanilla answer, which,
You might be right.
and that's fine. I'm of the opinion that I enjoy a Superman every once sorry, not Superman. Go Superman. But I enjoy a good Batman every once in a while, but I kind of wish they would highlight other
Same.
superheroes
There
more than
there have been so
just
many
Batman.
Batmans.
It's like we have so many Batmen. We don't need another one right now. Like,
Yeah.
and maybe that's me being a bit salty because I didn't like Man of Steel.
Uh
So I feel like
yeah.
I haven't had a like it's been a while since I've had a fun Superman, So, but yes, on the opposite end of that, this movie was so delightful and the animation style is amazing. I want more things like this to use.
Yes. Yes, me too. And apparently there is a TV series based on this in development called Bat
Ah, cool.
Family,
Oh,
which
right, right, right.
I am definitely watching.
Which I'm excited because honestly, my favorite thing about Batman is his like the
Same,
family.
same, yes.
Like this great comic came out called it's called like Bat Family Adventures or something. And it's like these little short comics about like just the extended family of Batman and it's like these short little comics and it's so funny and so delightful. It like pokes fun at that kind of stuff. There's one story where Batman has to go to a party and he's like, I wish I didn't have to go alone. And Alfred's like, well, you could bring this kid or this kid. And he's like, no, because whenever I try to bring him, it always ends in disaster. And then at the end, he's like, you could always come, Alfred. And Alfred's like, you don't pay me enough for that, sir. And it's just like it's got a fun, light-hearted humor to it. And like I don't know how much of the extended family they'll put in this, but I think it'd be fun. Like maybe we can get some Batwoman or some more Commissioner Gordon because Commissioner Gordon, this was funny.
Yeah,
And
he didn't have much to do, but I loved his scenes anyway.
I don't know why. Like I like Commissioner Gordon as a character, but like the joke that all he does is flip the bat signal is really funny to me.
Yeah. Oh, I'm hoping that they'll introduce more of the adopted members of the Bat family, not just his like
Hmm.
biological Bat
I
family.
mean, because Robin is canon, I assume, as he's in the song
Oh, that's
that
true. I didn't
so
even think of that. Yeah, they sing that song. So yeah, my thinking was that he would just adopt another kid, but like there must
hmm
already be a Robin for that song to exist in this movie.
yeah.
Hmm. Okay, so we need to figure out what happened to him. Like, is he Nightwing now? And
Yeah.
then like there's a bunch of Robins in the comics, so maybe
Oh
he's
yeah.
Nightwing, and then they'll adopt another Robin, and then this one can be the little Batman, like he was called in this movie.
Yeah. Which I thought was fun. Because like that also clears up because right now the comics we have two Robins, I think. Like there's two characters running around being called Robin,
Hmm.
which, you have that all the time. We have like 15 Supermen right now. I don't think it's 15, but I think there's three of them at the moment because you've got like Clark Kent, you've got his son John Kent, and then I think there's a oh gosh, this is gonna sound rude, but like an Asian one.
I don't know that I knew that. Like, I don't follow comics. I know that there's a comic following like a black Superman, but I don't remember his name. I've never read it. I just read about it. Like, I don't know. Is it like an alternate universe, or is it like just
Because
another person from Krypton?
I think there's Superman, but like there are diff. It depends on the how much time do we have. Um, because I think the only other person now this is not I'm not a big like I am a I'd say a moderate comic book fan. We'll go that. And a lot of my DC knowledge comes from like of the events comes from me just following the characters that I like.
Hmm.
So I couldn't like, and there's a lot of Superman comics, and I don't keep up with all of them. I have my favorites. So I could not tell you everything that's happened to Superman in the comics. But I believe the only Superman in the like without it being like an alternate reality that comes from Krypton is Supergirl. I think she's the only other one
Okay.
from there. Because I know we have like Steel, who could be the Black Superman. He wears like a metal suit
I'm just gonna
and he has like
Google
a big
Black
hammer.
Superman and see what comes up. Because they were talking about making a movie based on this character, but it wasn't Clark Kent. So I didn't like I didn't know who the character is. I don't think I'd heard of him before they announced the movie.
Oh, so we're is Calvin Ellis Superman, I think.
That sounds like alternate universe. Cal L.
Yeah.
Val Zod. Is he related to General Zod? That's the one. It says Michael B. Jordan is working on a Black Superman project. Although this was from 2021, so with the way it says for
Hmm.
HBO Max, with the way series go for that, it's probably already been canceled. Who knows?
Yeah. Especially with TC kind of
Yeah.
like redoing.
Apparently, Merry Little Batman was made originally for HBO Max, and then it got shelved and was going to be in part of that tax write-off package. Like they're canceling a whole bunch of animation and DC projects. And then somehow it got saved. I'm not really sure what happened with that, but it got saved
Uh-huh.
somehow, and Prime bought it. So I think for now it's like an Amazon exclusive. I'm hoping that they release it on DVD though, because I would buy
Yeah.
this.
Exactly.
Well, I guess back to the movie itself. The main cast, you have Batman, voiced by Luke Wilson, who is Owen Wilson's brother. And I'm not familiar enough with Luke Wilson. Like if I hadn't looked it up, I would have thought this was Owen Wilson. And this is like the perfect voice for a goofy Batman.
It was really fun. And I liked like when he was in his Batman outfit, his voice like didn't change really.
Uh-huh. And then you have Damian Wayne, voiced by Jonas Kibrib, who I had never heard of, but he is the voice of the new Pixar character Elio.
Okay.
That movie, I think, got delayed to 2025 now because of the writer's strike. It was supposed to come out in just a few months, but now
Hmm.
it's way far away. But he has a great voice. I mean, when I saw the character in the trailer for Elio, it's like, this is great. I love this kid already.
Uh-huh.
He has such a good kid voice. I mean, he is a kid, of course, but like
Yeah.
as an actor, he was great.
No, it honestly like it helped really carry the movie because like if he
Yes.
had an annoying voice, I think this movie would have dipped real far down real fast.
It could have, yeah. They got the perfect little kid for this. He's such a good actor, and he just delivered every line like a little kid would.
Yeah.
And then rounding out the main family, you have Alfred, voiced by James Cromwell, who I think most people will probably know as the farmer from Babe. And he was a very good Alfred. I really
He was
liked him.
yeah. He was so good. Like this might be one of my favorite Alfreds.
It might be mine too.
Like I always have loved Alfred, but like
Uh-huh.
this Alfred was just he was so sweet, but like he had that wit to him
Uh-huh.
and he had that very kindness. But he
Yes.
was also like a little old wrinkly man.
Yes. And not really a main character, but I didn't notice at first, but I love that they have a cat named Selena.
Yes, it was so good.
I
I'm like,
don't
ah,
know.
I get that.
At the beginning, I don't know if they even mentioned the name, but then like partway through when he's like hiding and he calls the cat Selena, I just burst out laughing. So at the beginning, the main thrust of the plot is you have Damian Wayne just wants to be exactly like his dad. He's causing all kinds of destruction. He has great comedic timing. I love the part where he said that the HVAC unit broke his fall. And then Bruce gives Damien a utility belt for Christmas, but he's very disappointed to find it full of things like band-aids and foam batarangs instead of actual weapons. And then I'm not sure who was supposed to have been the one to call, but Batman gets called to Nova Scotia, which is that made me laugh for some reason. Just Nova Scotia, I don't know why, it just seems so random.
Yeah.
So Damien gets left alone with Alfred, and he also gets his utility belt taken away because of his shenanigans, and he wants to get rid of Alfred. So Alfred is going to make him hot cocoa, and he, in order to get rid of Alfred, decides to eat all the marshmallows so that Alfred has to go leave to get more. that, that scene, I, just something about the way they animated him stuffing his mouth full of marshmallows was so hilarious.
Yeah. And like Alfred's like going full blown on that Coco. Like he's
I
got
loved everything about that scene.
like I've got my special whipper for the cream, and I've got all these different like the little chocolate flakes. Here's like it's
Yeah,
gonna be the
like
greatest cocoa
chopping
of
up
your
an
life.
actual chocolate bar. The way, like, I know that one of the things that people didn't like about this was the way it was animated, the character styles, but I think that stuff like this works so much better with these caricatures
Hmm.
instead of like serious, perfectly drawn characters. You have these like slightly goofy caricatures of the characters, and
Yeah.
it lets you do stuff like this with Alfred meticulously chopping up chocolate and the little kid climbing up the cupboards and filling his mouth full of marshmallows. But yeah, anyways, the marshmallows are gone, so he fakes crying to get Alfred to go buy more. Again, a thing that is mostly possible because of these character designs. I loved the fake crying.
I love how he looks up and is like, is it working? And then like Alfred's on the verge of tears and he's just like, yeah, and he goes back to crying.
It's so good. So yes, Alfred leaves. He's home alone, and then you have a scene with Batman, who has crashed the Bat jet, and
Nice going.
tries to call for help, and then realizes that he was never actually called away because whoever he's calling was supposedly whoever called him for this emergency. They were like, "I never called you," so
Yeah.
he's been tricked by a bad guy, and I guess apparently it's Mr. Freeze because he looks in his engine and it's frozen. He's like, "Freeze." But like he's in the middle of a blizzard, so I was like, why are you jumping to Mr. Freeze when you're in the middle of a raging blizzard? But maybe Mr. Freeze caused this and it wasn't like natural Canadian
Yeah.
weather,
I guess what he was getting at is why he crashed. It could have been he was attacked by Mr. Freeze.
I suppose. I mean, it's not that big a deal anyways.
No.
I it's one of those things where I overthink, and with a movie like this, you don't need to overthink. It's just everything is going to happen because it's a cartoon. But then with Alfred gone, Damien gets into all sorts of weird hijinks. He's like boiling ice cream and pizza into soup at the microwave to carbo load, which causes a small explosion, which he's thrilled about having survived. But this also blows out the power and opens the gates. And there's some criminals down the road who've been robbing houses, and they see this mansion go dark and decide to rob it. And I loved these criminals. I wanted more of them. I was hoping they were going to turn into main characters. You have Terry and Francine. Terry, he's voiced by somebody named Michael Fielding, and he's from something called The Mighty Boosh, which I know I've heard of, but I don't know what it is. And from what I've heard, it sounds like a ridiculous British show that I probably would like if I watched, but I just haven't looked into it. And then Francine is voiced by Natalie Palmades. Not sure if that's how you pronounce her name or not, but she's a voice actress who's been in a ton of stuff I've seen. She was in the Powerpuff Girls reboot and Star vs. the Forces of Evil, Rapunzel's Tangled Adventures, Bob's Burgers, Tiny Toons reboot. Like she's all over the place these days.
Hmm.
She's also in a live action movie that I've heard about, and I don't know how to watch it. I know it's already out. It's like an Irish movie, It's called Apocalypse Clown.
Um,
Just the title alone. It sounds like something that I would want to see. But apparently it's about like a post-apocalyptic situation where there's this traveling group of clowns who are trying to survive after something cataclysmic happens. And every review I've read says that her character is the best.
that's strange
I
and
know.
amazing.
I know. I really want to see it. But it's an Irish movie and it's not in the US yet, apparently. I've tried to find it, couldn't find it. I
Hmm.
heard about it a few months ago somewhere, and I think it's out, but apparently not in the US. Anyways, I love these two's dynamic. They're like robbing this house, and the one guy loves to film his crimes, apparently. And he tells her, I'm just trying to make holiday memories. And then he's taking a picture of the people that he's robbing. Say cheese. And she's yelling at him. And he says, is it a crime to document our crimes? And then when they end up breaking into Wayne Manor, Damien says, a home invasion. Dad never told me what to do in case of one of these. And I love that when he runs to find a list of emergency numbers, you have all the standard things like police, fire, pediatrician. You also have the Kents listed.
Yeah.
These bad guys eventually steal his utility belt, and he decides to fight them himself. And you end up getting like a long Home Alone style battle between these guys, which was so good. And I loved when he first decides to fight them because he's gone to call the police. But then when he sees them take his utility belt, he hangs up on the emergency responder and throws the phone in the garbage, which is so random. But I love that they put this little squish noise when he tosses the phone in the garbage. There's so many random little things in this that I just loved.
Right?
And I also loved that they don't like, even though this movie is totally bloodless, but they don't hold back on the violence. And he like literally torches them with a flamethrower. I about died laughing because
Yeah.
they like have all this stuff happening to them and they get to the end and there's like a kiddie pool and he says, that's for the grease fire. And then he blows them with his flamethrower. I love this kid so much. But in the end, the bad guys do get away with his utility belt, even though they lose everything else that they stole. And he is vowing to get his belt back. And I love that he goes in and kisses Selena goodbye. So he goes down to the Bat Cave and finds the bat suit, which shrinks to fit him. And he also finds a message recorded for him from his dad when he was a baby, which basically says, if you're watching this, I'm dead. Or you broke into the Batcave and you're in big trouble when I get home, mister. But also, the suit that he has found has this Jarvis type simulation of his father called the Bat Dad. And he has this to guide him on this adventure, I guess. So he jumps in the Batmobile, but of course he can't drive it. He's too tiny, and it splits in half and reveals a Bat motorcycle. And he blasts out of the cave. I love that he passes Alfred, who is driving, but he like bends down for a Kleenex to blow his nose. And totally misses him. He's completely oblivious.
Yeah.
And then you find out that these villains were actually sent by the Joker because he's trying to steal Christmas. It's such a cliche, but I mean, it's kind of perfect for the Joker, especially in a movie like this.
Yeah.
The Joker is voiced by David Hornsby, who he's been in so many things. He's apparently a prolific voice actor. He was the Riddler in DC Superhero Girls,
Hmm.
but I knew him because I've seen him in the shows Idiot Sitter and Baskets, which I had forgotten about because they've been like several years ago. But he was also one of the main characters for a while in a show called Good Girls about these three women who turn to a life of crime. It's like a comedy version of Breaking Bad, but with these three women,
Uh-huh.
which I never finished because it was canceled and apparently it had a cliffhanger. And I was like, I'm out. I hate it when that happens.
Yeah.
Also, even though it was a kind of a comedy, it also kind of gave me anxiety because like they were in some legitimately dangerous situations at times. So I guess I didn't really have trouble cutting that one out.
I get that.
I never finished Breaking Bad either. I That one was just too much for me. It was a good show, but
Hmm.
like it was too much.
Yeah, I never tried because I just don't watch shows like that. Like I can understand like people are like, "Oh, but it's amazing." And I'm like, I'm glad you enjoy it, but you know.
Hmm. I mean, the acting is great, the story was great, everything about it. Like technically, it is an amazing show,
Hmm.
but because it's so good, it's too realistic. Way too realistic for me.
Yeah.
It was too much. I had to stop. But yeah, anyways, all I have to say, David Hornsby, he's kind of the perfect Joker. Like
No, he was great.
his character in Good Girls was not not this like he was a bad guy, but not like a he was more like a snivelly bad guy. But like I could see a character like that becoming a Joker like character. And
Yeah.
yeah, he was really great as Joker in this. But these hench people tell him that Batman thwarted their plans, and he says that's impossible. He tricked Batman into leaving the country. And then I think he'd actually bought this though, until they foolishly explained that it was actually a little kid in a paper bag. They're not the brightest. But then the Joker takes his phone and he sees apparently he was recording the whole time when they were being tortured by little Batman. And he sees little Batman torching them with his flamethrower. And he thinks that this is hilarious. And I love that he kept rewinding it and watching it over and over again.
Right.
And then he decides that this kid is the perfect way to destroy Christmas. And then I'm not sure what he has in this factory hideout. It looks like he has giant vats of peppermint acid. Because like
Like,
the the
yeah.
the Joker's origin is falling into a big vat of acid,
Uh-huh.
but like this stuff looked like peppermints.
Yeah, I thought it was like ice cream.
I don't know what it was, but
But then like later Batman's just like he always keeps calling that stuff and I'm like, "Oh, I guess it's not ice cream."
I don't know what happened to the henchmen because after that you never see them again. But I do like that.
Like drowned, I assumed.
I did love that after they've been dumped into the vat, Terry yells up, "Can I at least have my phone back?" And then before we go to the next scene, you have a brief bit of someone saying, "Did I miss anything?" And then there's like vines wrapping around. So, Poison Ivy is in on this as well.
Hmm.
So, in his investigation, trying to find his belt, he decides to go to someone who has eyes and ears all over the city, which is Santa.
I love how like Joker knew he was gonna go see Santa. He's just like, who, where would he go? And it's like, of course, Santa.
Uh, there was a lot of stuff in here that was like very convenient, but also this is a ridiculous cartoon, so I don't care. I love it.
Yeah, like it makes sense within its universe, but it's absolutely ridiculous.
Yes, yes. But because Joker knew where he was going, he has sent Bane to pretend to be Santa. And I love that Bane, like, he has a voice actor, Chris Sullivan, who was also Taserface in Guardians of the Galaxy. But I love that he just sort of makes noises. He doesn't ever talk, I don't think.
I
He's
think
just
he like says a line near the end, but yeah.
yeah, yeah, I love this interpretation of Bane. I love how like there's so many interpretations of Bane, and they're all very unique.
Yeah.
Have you ever watched any of the Harley Quinn series on HBO, the Max series?
No, I
Like
haven't watched it.
it's an adult series. It's not always that good, but I love the characterization of Bane in that show. It's like somebody doing an impersonation of Bane from the whichever movie it was that he was in the Batman trilogy. I don't remember which one he was in.
Oh, is that Dark Knight Rises?
One of those, yeah. but
Yeah,
it's like
but yeah,
somebody doing a bad impersonation of that, and it just works so well for that version of Bane.
that's funny.
But then this one is like has an electronic weird voice, and he's just this hulking mass of muscles and veins. And then you have Poison Ivy there as his elf, who is played by Therese McLaughlin, which I don't know her. She doesn't have very many credits, but I loved this characterization of Poison Ivy. She's like, it's like if Yzma from Emperor's New Groove was a Batman villain.
Right?
She's like an old lady, but she's still dressed like the classic sexy Poison Ivy. So it turns out they have his belt. They were sent by the Joker, of course. And then this leads to a hilarious Christmas fight around the mall with Poison Ivy like growing Christmas trees and garlands everywhere while Bane is hilariously fighting Little Batman. I love the scene where he's like on the train and it's like doing this dramatic lead up to what's supposed to be an epic punch from Little Batman. And it's just like bap. They eventually destroy them all, basically. And little Batman goes out the window after his belt. And this is all part of Joker's plan. He wanted to create chaos,
Hmm.
and he ends up knocking over this giant tree in Gotham, which I think Joker later says was beyond his wildest expectations. He's so excited about all this. You also have a brief scene with a reporter, Vicky Vale, who is a character in Batman.
Hmm.
She's not like a main character, but I thought it was nice that they included her.
Yeah, it's a fun little Easter egg.
Yeah. But meanwhile, all this is happening. Batman is fighting Mr. Freeze in Nova Scotia. Mr. Freeze is voiced by somebody who has never acted before. Dolph Adomian. He has no credits. I couldn't find anything about him, but it sounds like he's doing an Arnold Schwarzenegger impression,
Yeah, I was like, oh, that's a reference to Batman and Robin, which is great.
especially with all the ice puns.
Yeah.
But then I thought maybe it's not an impression because his name is Dolph. Maybe he's from the same place. Maybe he just has the same voice. I don't know. Because I think Dolph is like a German, Austrian, European name. So I
Hmm.
don't know. Either way, he hasn't done anything, so I don't have any way of knowing how he actually sounds. But if even if it's not his real voice, it's obviously on purpose to be a pun or a reference to the live action Arnold Schwarzenegger version of this character.
Yeah.
But then we go back to little Batman going to the zoo and finding his belt near the penguins and ending up falling into a trap laid by the penguin. I, I love this penguin. He's a little old man who's riding around on a mobility scooter. I love that all of these villains are like elderly. Like I think even Joker's supposed to be kind of old, and this is just kind of perfect. And this version of the Penguin is voiced by Brian George, who I knew from Big Bang Theory. He was Cooper Polly's dad,
Mm.
but I didn't realize he's been in a ton of Batman stuff. Most recently, this year, in a different direct-to-video movie, he played Alfred in Batman: The Doom That Came to Gotham. And he was also Alfred in Batman versus the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, which I don't
Oh,
know if you've
okay.
seen or not, but I know you're a Ninja Turtles fan, so
I have yet to actually sit down and watch it. I've seen like clips and stuff, but that's cool.
yeah, he's been in so many Batman and DC projects, all the way back to the original Batman the Animated Series. I think he was in an episode. But yeah, he's now in Penguin's lair, and Joker appears on a screen and goads him into a fight, which leads to a battle in a giant balloon parade, which ends in hilarious devastation. I love how ridiculous all the fights are. And then this, of course, is where you get Commissioner Gordon activating the bat signal, which causes even more hilarious chaos as people freak out.
Yeah, they're like, crime is returned, and they just start committing crimes.
Yes. I guess it in this movie, apparently there has been no crime in Gotham. Batman solved it all. Uh, okay.
Yeah. He just became so committed to making it safe for Damien that he just I love that sequence where he just is like jumping on the bad guys and just beating them senseless. He's just like they're either retired or they're out of commission. And you're like, what did you do, Batman?
I also loved that only now, during all of this chaos, only now, Alfred is just getting out of the store with the marshmallows. It had to have been like hours since he left. Unless this has all happened really quickly. I that was just the most ridiculous, hilarious thing with him just stepping out of the store and he sees the bat signal in the sky. Oh, biscuits. I love hilarious fake British cursing.
Right, like it's so good.
And then he goes to find Damien, which I'm not sure if this is supposed to be a reference to something, but Damien sees him and thinks he's being followed by another bad guy, and then it turns into this stylized, I think it is supposed to be like woodblock prints, but it's like black
Hmm.
and white animation as he's like running away from Alfred, thinking he's being chased by a bad guy. I don't know if it's a reference to something or not, but I really liked that.
Yeah, that was really amazing. I think it was, yeah, it was animated by a single person,
Hmm,
named Nick Cross.
okay. That name sounds familiar. Oh, he worked on Over the Garden Wall.
Yeah, I was gonna say he was the art director of it.
Maybe that's why the name sounds familiar.
Oh, he's the art director for Infinity Train as well,
Okay.
and Cring of the Creek.
I suppose I've just seen his name in various things because I do recognize a bunch of things he's worked on, but they're all things that I associate more with different people. So I suppose I've just seen his name in the credits and that's why it sounded familiar.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyways, Alfred eventually reveals himself to not be a bad guy and he gives him hot cocoa and a pep talk. And he's going to take him home, but then the Joker sends a balloon which sprays him with knockout gas pretty much directly behind a completely oblivious Alfred. Alfred has no idea what's going on around him. So he wakes up in the Joker's lair and finds all the villains gathered together in a giant snow globe for some reason.
Because the Joker's extra.
Yes, definitely. Especially this version. I mean, the Joker's always extra, but this one is very extra. They tell him that they were using him to steal Christmas because they would have one bad guy distracting him while the rest of them went around stealing presents and such. And then you have shots of them doing all of their Christmas evil. And I love the shot of the army of penguins with like candy cane rockets blasting off and swarming away from the places they were stealing all the stuff. And they tell him that they brought him there because they want him to join them because they couldn't have destroyed Christmas without him. And then they give him back his utility belt, but they've filled it with weapons like ninja stars and grenades. And then, of course, Damien has a little crisis of conscience as he's remembering everything he was told about not being ready and not being ready to be a hero. And he needs to like take his time and learn. And he wasn't doing that. And he tells them that even though he's not a hero, he isn't a villain either. And he throws the utility belt in the fireplace and dives out of the house as it blows up. I love that so much. But then
And then Joker's just like, who gave the kid explosives? And they all raise their hands.
even him. But I, I have to say, the thing that made me laugh, like I've laughed a lot in this movie. I laughed hard a lot of times in this movie, but the thing that made me laugh the absolute hardest was when he blows the place up, Joker screaming, "Holy crap!" I absolutely lost it. In the winter, I get nosebleeds because of the dry air. I laughed and immediately got a bloody nose.
Oh no. All right. If they release a DVD, that's like needs to go on the box. I laughed so hard I got a nosebleed.
Really, just his delivery of that line, the reaction to this explosion. Oh my word. This movie is beyond hilarious, and that was the funniest part of this whole thing. It's so funny, so good. I love this Joker so much. But yeah, they end up having a big battle in the Joker's factory. And in the middle of all this chaos, Mr. Freeze is dropped in and Batman appears. And he immediately goes into worried dad mode. Thank goodness you're okay. Do you have any boo-boos? Are you hurt? And I love the look that Joker and Poison Ivy give each other. And again, like I said before, even though this is basically bloodless violence, except for my nose, they don't hold anything back. And Damien is like in serious danger. He's like getting strangled by Poison Ivy. He's turning purple. And Batman gets fully knocked out by the Joker's hammer.
Yeah.
And I love that they like actually had stakes in this movie. It didn't feel like it was just
Hmm.
wacky violence for wacky violence sake. It
Yeah.
actually felt like this mattered.
Uh-huh. Like it still felt like this wasn't a goofy, weird world that Batman now
Hmm.
is in. It still kind of felt like the Batman world, but just like
Yeah,
a bit of a chiller episode of Batman.
yeah. Yeah, he gets knocked out and he eventually wakes up to find Damien fighting the bad guys and holding his own. And they fight together and defeat the bad guys. And I absolutely loved the shot of Joker caught in an explosion, like flying backwards, falling towards the vat again. I I don't know why. I love that so much.
It was so good.
It
And he's like,
was.
Merry Christmas.
So the day is saved, and they take all the stolen presents back to Gotham and place Santa in the Bat jet flying around giving everybody their presents back, which I don't know how they knew who gets what present. Did everybody
You
just get
just get the
random
present that
presents?
Batman gives you, okay?
I mean, if Batman gave me a present, I wouldn't care what it was. And then you have a scene between Damien and Batman where Damien talks about how earlier the Joker talked about how he just liked doing all the crimes with his friends, and he thinks that deep down Joker and Batman really like each other. And Batman protests, saying, "No, he's a supervillain." And Damien responds with, "Mom's a supervillain," because before you hadn't known who his mother is through this whole thing. Like, I think in the comics it's Talia al Ghul.
Yeah.
Okay, that's kind of what I just figured, and I figured they weren't going to address it at all. But then they have that line, so it makes me think that maybe
Hmm.
she's going to come in the series eventually.
Yeah, that would be fun. I'd be interested to see the version of Talia that they have in this
Yeah, yeah.
universe.
I think I just assumed that she probably had died, but then they refer to her in the present tense, so
Yeah.
she's not dead. But yeah, Batman says, "Mom's complicated," and Alfred says, "A complicated supervillain." And then the movie ends with them all going to Big Belly Burger, which is a
Yeah.
restaurant in the DC universe. But for
I love
some
it
reason,
whenever.
Joker is joining them,
Yeah.
but he's in handcuffs.
Yeah. And
I guess they really are friends.
oh yeah, they definitely are. I think I mean Lego Batman basically confirmed that,
Yes.
so they're basically work boyfriends.
But yeah, this movie is absolutely hilarious. I cannot recommend anything higher. If you need a Christmas special to watch, this is the one to watch.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
It's so much fun. Like I said, I expected to enjoy it. I did not expect to absolutely love this movie.
Yeah, like I was like, oh, this looks like a fun, sweet, cute movie, but I was very surprised that I enjoyed it as much as I did,
Hmm.
and it was just overall real fun. I did notice there was a fun little Easter egg when Damien's driving down the road super fast. You see a highway sign. It says Robert Kane and Bill Finger, which I thought was funny because Bob Kane and Bill Finger are the creators of Batman. So that was fun.
I'm sure there's probably lots of stuff in here. I didn't notice it because I've only seen this once. I'm probably going to watch it again tonight. I told my cousin we have to watch this. And I think I'm going to get my other cousin to watch it with me on Christmas.
Also, the music is written by Patrick Stump, who's
Oh,
in
I forgot
Fallout
to
Boy.
mention that.
Yeah,
Yes, Fallout
which is
Boy.
awesome.
No, the
Which is
music
great.
was great. Like
Like,
a lot of times with Christmas specials, they just do the most generic
mm-hmm.
music just so that they can fill the background with something Christmassy that's not copyright.
Yeah.
Like you get that a lot with, I haven't seen a ton of Hallmark, but I'll do Hallmark episodes with Rachel sometimes because
Yeah.
she has the Hallmarkies podcast. So I know that they will usually do as much free Christmas music as they can, and once in a
Yeah.
while they'll have like their own that they've made, but it's always kind of generic. This was anything but generic. I loved the music in this.
Yeah, it was really good.
It was so good. I love the opening with the bat flying through and the music playing. So good. Everything about this movie was so good, so creative.
Yeah, like kudos to everyone who worked on this and like that it's amazing and I'm glad that it got made regardless of
Uh-huh.
all the chaos that Warner Brothers and animation and DC are going through.
Uh-huh.
Like not only did you have to deal with, Warner Brothers, but you have to deal with DC and you have to deal with being animated and just all that stuff that's been going on recently. Just like, yeah, it's crazy it got made and I'm so happy
Hmm.
and so thankful and proud of everyone who worked on it that it got made and all that.
Yeah, this, I think if I had never seen this, I don't know that I would have felt much about it. Because like with Batgirl,
Uh-huh.
the biggest thing that I'm upset about is like so many people put such hard work into that and now nobody's gonna get to see it. So that's kind of
Yeah.
what I'm upset there. Like I don't know what the story was gonna be. I don't know if it was gonna be good. Different people say different things about how good it might have been.
Hmm.
So I probably would feel similarly with this. But now having watched it, I feel like my life would be so much poorer if I had never seen this.
Right? Like, I'm so glad that this movie got to be made because honestly, it's one of my favorite Batman movies.
It really is. It really is.
And it's so creative. They take a common storyline, but they add so much flavor and so much fun and
Yes.
creativity to it that it doesn't have that feeling of, oh, I've seen this before,
Yeah.
which I feel like a lot of Christmas themed movies can kind of get caught up in.
Yeah. So much of this movie, I guess technically is stuff that we've seen before. It's like it's Home Alone, it's The Grinch, it's all
Yeah.
these random Christmas tropes, but they've thrown them together and mixed them up and used them in ways that are totally unique to this movie and are
Yeah.
just so creatively implemented that it's just so good, so
Hmm.
funny, so creative. I love it.
Yeah.
Well, I guess that will probably be all for this episode. I feel like half of this was just gushing over the jokes that I loved, but even with the ones that I've talked about, there's still so many more. And I mean,
Yeah.
I hope that if anyone has listened to this, they've already seen it. But if by chance you have not watched it yet, watch it. It is
Yeah.
so funny. It is so good. I feel like this is in the future, this will be a holiday classic on par with The Grinch or Charlie
Yeah.
Brown. It's just so good. It's so funny.
Yeah. And if you're one of those people who the art style does turn off and so you don't want to watch it, and I can understand that. Like I don't watch a lot of cartoons like I don't watch like Simpsons or Family Guy because I don't like the art styles. So like
Hmm.
I'm just turned off immediately and I'm like, I understand you enjoy the show and stuff, but I just can't look at the characters. Like I would say please give this one a shot
Yeah.
because it's not just like the characters' movements are so unique. Like not only are the characters designed uniquely, but they are like animated uniquely. Like I loved how the Joker like kicked his legs around all the time and like he just
Or
like
the
you
little bit where he's like drumming his fingers on the table. I loved
yeah,
that.
like there's so much creativity to the animation, which that itself is worth watching in
Yes.
itself. So if you're like a big animation fan, like definitely watch it for that reason alone. And if you walk away not enjoying the art style still, like I feel like it would be hard for you not to enjoy the animation at least.
Yeah. No, with the art style, it's one of those things where sometimes something might turn you off initially,
Hmm.
but if you give it a chance, you might end up liking it. Like for me, when I first saw stuff for Adventure Time, I did not like the designs. I
Uh-huh.
I thought they were ugly. I don't think I watched Adventure Time until several seasons in, and I kept hearing how great this show was, and I was like, okay, fine, I'll give it a chance. And I ended up
Hmm.
loving it, and the style grew on me, and now I love the Adventure Time style. So I think that this, even though maybe if you see just the promotional images, you might be turned off by Batman's giant chin or whatever.
Yeah. And if you really are turned off with Batman's chin, don't worry, he's not in the movie that much. So,
Yeah. But I think it's something that could grow on you. Like it gives
uh-huh.
this movie a flavor completely unique to it. Like
Yeah.
it's different than any other goofy Batman thing that I've seen. Like Batman Brave and the Bold or Lego Batman, they have their own unique styles for what Batman and the villains gallery looks like. And
Yeah.
this is just a different design and it works
Hmm.
for what this movie is.
Batman is a big dad himbo with a big chin and a beard.
Pretty much.
And that's a fun, goofy Batman. And
Yes.
I appreciate having Batman have some sweet moments
Yeah.
because a lot of times it's about his dark grittiness
Yeah.
and he's super serious and war torn and dramatic and that's all well and good, but like I appreciate seeing Batman have some downtime from being that.
Yeah. This is such a great reprieve from the dark and brooding Batman that has been pretty much everywhere in the past
Hmm.
however many years. I don't know when the last goofy Batman was. Probably Lego Batman. There's not been a whole lot of goofy Batman, and we needed some, and this is perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I think that will be all for this episode. Do you want to let people know where they can find you if they want more from you?
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Katie Draws Things. I have a couple projects there that are going to be released soon, and they're pretty cool. So check them out if you'd like.
Okay, well, until the next episode. Thanks for listening to iHeart Animation. If you like what you've heard, make sure to subscribe on your preferred podcast platform or to our YouTube channel. Make sure to follow my co-hosts as well, and if you want more content from us, check out one of the other podcasts in the iHeart Movies Podcast Network, or check out my brand new Patreon. My link tree, as well as any other relevant links, will be in the description. We'll be back soon with another brand new episode, so thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.